Hey folks, welcome back to RBB. My name is Aaron. We're continuing on with our get home bag and EDC bag discussions, and rather than just have some sort of an abstract conversation, I decided to put together a little bit of a scenario. I'll let you guys watch it. It's only a couple minutes long, and then we'll go back over and discuss some of the points that I tried to make during the scenario. So here we go. So this is obviously a get home scenario, and start out 50 miles from home. I'm going to give the time of year, time of day, and I'm going to pause for a second here. I thought it would be relevant to add a few variables that most people don't think about. You might have never considered that the problem that you're faced with may end up happen when you're not at your best. Maybe you've already had a full day, in this case, in 18 hours since you woke up, and so you're not refreshed. So that's something you're going to have to factor into your strategy to get home. So moving on. This is kind of where we start to set up the issue of there is no cell service. So you're, in modern terms, you're kind of on your own. So I want to pause there as well and talk about the weather conditions, what the weather is now, and understanding what the weather forecast may be for maybe the next 12 hours is worthwhile. It's something that obviously you could use in a story as like a foreshadow of, oh, why are they telling me what the forecast is going to be for the next 12 hours? Well, your life is your story, and maybe you should take the time to understand if you're going to be out on the road or you're going to be out somewhere possibly in the elements, knowing what the weather conditions are expected to be during that time. Moving on. Okay, so Yeah, look at that amazing acting. I'm going to pause for a second. This is where, in the scenario where the problem becomes full blown. And that is, unless you're a mechanic on modern day vehicles that have computers inside, there's not 100% chance you're going to be able to just crack open the hood and fix the problem. So what I tried to show in this was that it was obviously beyond my comprehension for fixing a modern day vehicle. And so this is where the vehicle would come to rest. Yeah, maybe you have to push the car off to the side of the road or something along those lines, but this is where you start kind of taking a deep breath and kind of assessing your situation. Moving on. So I'm going to pause for a second. I'm still inside the car. It's obviously gotten dark, and I'm using a headlamp to go use a map and compass to kind of assess where I'm at and where I need to go. And so I'm not out along the roadway somewhere. I'm actually sitting in the best shelter that I have at that point, which is my vehicle. Moving on. Pause for a second here. So this is where you see me at the back of the vehicle, and it's first light. That means I slept in my car because of having not slept in probably at this point the night before, probably in 20 hours. I decided to go ahead and get a full night's sleep. I think that's part of the strategy of, if you can, if there's no urgency to get to the hospital or to get home for whatever reason, it's best just to get some rest. And you're going to be more clear-headed when you wake up. Even if it's a combat nap, even if it's 4 hours, you're probably going to be in a better place than you were when you first started. So this is where you've already had a chance to strategize and to come up with a game plan and start getting mentally ready for what you're going to need to do to move on from there. So this is what you see is, this is the temperature, it's raining outside, and here we go. That's a whoopee. Okay, I'm going to pause right here at the pre-packed get home bag. It's not the point of this video to have a prepackaged get home bag. What I'm trying to bring out in this video is more of the strategy and the mental toughness rather than the gears and gadgets that are going to get you home, because the gears and gadgets are not going to get you home. It's your planning and it's your mindset that's going to get you home, and everything else is just going to make your life a little bit easier if you've planned properly. So we'll go over get home bags in more detail of what's involved in them, but this is more just about having the right mindset to get yourself home. So the bag you see there is nothing special. It probably has the same stuff that you've seen in 50 other get home bag videos, but it may not necessarily be exactly what I need for the plan that I have. So we'll talk about that in a different video. Moving on. Okay, that's the part where I'm putting my boots on. You should definitely have a good, even if they're an old pair of boots that are still serviceable, you should definitely have a good pair of boots. And this is now on the road, walking to the next place that I plan to be. You'll see now it's hour 3, still walking, and then the video pretty much comes to an end. So let's talk about just the last part of walking. And that's the majority. It's not the sexy part, but it's the majority of what you're going to be doing when you're carrying that get home bag full of all the stuff that's supposed to save your life, is you're going to be walking. And that's what I would suggest if you don't walk a lot or you haven't walked a lot in many years. I'd recommend that you get in the habit of doing some walking, because it's not only good for you, it's what you're going to be doing in a get home scenario in the worst cases. So I remember, I'm going to date myself here, but they used to have this fundraiser every year called the March of Dimes Walkathon, which was a 20-mile walk. And you'd go out and you'd get sponsors, and you'd have people, you know, if you make it this many miles, then I'll give you 10 cents a mile. And if you walked all 20 miles, you'd get $2 from that person, and you were supposed to collect as many sponsors to get donations so you could give back to the nonprofit organization. And I remember doing that 20-mile walk when I was in 5th grade, 10 years old, with a friend of mine. We both did it. And it's not that I'm not saying that anybody could do it. I'm saying that if you have the right mindset and you're not going to quit, and you have a good strategy of how you're going to get to where you're going, then you're probably going to be fine. And it's not about the gear. The gear is generally not going to save you. One or two things might be something that you really are thankful that you put in your pack, but the rest of it is just stuff you're going to be carrying. You're probably not going to need all of it each time. One of the other considerations when I was writing this scenario, I threw in the factor of sleep deprivation as a consideration. You also saw in there that while looking at the map, if I went in the direction of home was 25 miles away, and cell phone reception, I could get to that by heading towards home, and 15 miles from where I was at, I'd have cell phone reception. But then if you go in a different direction, say close to a built-up area, it may even be a shorter amount of time and shorter amount of distance, and you can have cell phone reception there and call somebody to come get you, come pick you up. I even wanted to add another component where you had a friend that you used to work with at a different company, and you haven't talked to him in 4 years. You knew that he lived even closer than that, but there was, obviously the possibility that he may have moved. You haven't kept in touch with him, but it just got too complicated as far as, and I didn't want this to be some sort of a quest. It was just sort of, here are the possibilities, and you need to think your way through that problem. And I didn't even offer a resolution at the end, because my resolution may be different from what you choose. And so these are just the kind of things that I want you to think about. Remember, when I was that 5th grade kid, when I was 10 years old or 11 years old, and we were doing the walkathon, we were doing that, me and the buddy that I went with, each of us had a sack lunch. That's what we had. We didn't have a get home bag. So my recommendation is have the right mindset and have a strategy to where if something like that situation happens, that you take a deep breath and you consider what all your options are. And if you need to repair, if you need to get some sleep and have a level head in the morning, maybe that's the best option. And again, all of this is very easy because it's just you in this situation. You don't have any children. You don't have anybody who's with you who's injured. Obviously, those are other variables that you're going to have to contend with in the situation you find yourself in. But just as a baseline, this is about as simple as it gets, folks. So start with simple, and then you can add complications as time goes on. So if you liked our video, like and subscribe, help out the channel, and we'll catch you right here next time on ranges, backstops, and berms.